how's it going, Mr. Deadman of the Deadman's Tome podcast? All right, this is that is too sexy for YouTube. This is also the show that's broadcast live deep in the heart of Meth County, Texas. With us tonight is Desiree Byars. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. I hope you're doing okay.
I'm good. I'm ready to do this. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's no problem. No problem at all. No problem at all. Okay, so quick shout out real fast. Yes, raising money to be able to afford more artwork in the upcoming issue of Deadman's Tome called Hollywood Holocaust. Crazy title. Now, not only am I going to get the cover, but I want interior art, colored interior art by Damascus Mincemeyer, the guy who's been doing the cover art. Great artist, talented guy. Now, I can make this happen. I'm already going to put my money on the line. But if you feel willing and maybe generous and want to help make that happen, feel free to donate using the streamlabs.com/MrDeadmanDT. Unfortunately, this channel is completely demonetized because Susan Wojcicki gets off to the sound of my voice. I'm not even joking. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get down with the program here. So, Miss Byars, how's it going?
It's going all right. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. Now, I have one question I ask all my guests, and that is, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Desiree Byars, and I'm a new author. That's pretty much all I do other than reading and bumming around on video games. Former animal rescue. I don't do as much of that anymore. Right now we're focused on the reading and writing. That's about it.
Reading and writing, okay. So you write, you read, you play video games, you did some animal rescue. Okay, that's quite a lot of stuff there. I play games too, so real fast, what games are you playing?
I'm playing on the PS4 right now. I've been playing a lot of co-op with some friends, old stuff, GTA 5.
Hey, GTA 5...
Got back into Saints Row 3.
GTA 5 might be old, but it's still relevant. I mean, those servers are still crazy. GTA 5, man, it's been years since I played that, but I got like the top tier cars, I of course exploited the glitches that they had, of course, like anyone should, to get all the stuff. And then I even had the cop car. I had a pink cop car that would go around and like pretending to arrest people, but then they got rid of that because it was a cheat. I was like, no! That's what I stopped.
Yeah, they cracked down on that pretty hard.
Yeah, I was like, GTA 5, Rockstar. You guys are going to crack down on glitches and cheats? You guys should be relishing in that. You guys should just be like, just have fun. Have fun. Free for all. But no. Okay. Anyway.
Are you bitter towards Rockstar?
I am because of that. They took away my hot pink cop car. Okay, it was one of those suburban cop cars. Okay, it was great. It was great. Man, you could do some damage with that thing, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's about horror writing, and tonight we're also going to talk about some controversial topics. I guess I'll frame it like right here. Look, horror is known for talking about murderers, serial killers, crazy clowns, creepy kids that want to stab you in the night. But also horror talks about controversial things like your neighbor next door that might be mentally insane, or your neighbor next door that might be holding a girl against her will, or maybe controversial topics like abortion or I just leave it at that, you know? So
yeah, it can get pretty dark.
It can get dark. And we have to ask the question, how can writers navigate those controversial topics in a way where I guess you're being respectful, but at the same time being free in your imagination and free to express in your crazy, demented world? After all, we're talking about horror, crazy, demented world of what it is, you know, what you're putting out there. So we'll talk about that here tonight. So and I think your book, Patchwork, has some examples of that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it tackles, there's some talk about abortion, there's some child abuse, there's a story about a girl who was molested. The book has some dark themes, for sure.
Dark themes, which is commonplace in horror, like I said before. Now, For those who don't know what this book is, just give a quick rundown.
It's a collection of 4 short stories. The first one is Bailey Marie. She's the longest one in the book. She was almost a novel, but I decided to pull the plug on her. There's 2 stories in the middle that were kind of, they're good stories, don't get me wrong. They were kind of filler. The 4th story.
The 4th story, what? I'm sorry.
The molestation and some child abuse there. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So we'll talk about the stories in more detail here. Let's start off with the first, because it has the theme of abortion, which is a topic when people hear like, oh God. So let me ask you, how do you talk about that? How do you write a story about abortion and handle it respectfully? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, the story itself doesn't actually include an abortion. There's discussion of it, and the mother wanted to abort this baby, and she tried the homegrown ways of
wire hanger
abortions. Yeah, I mean, not that in particular, but yes, those concepts. And
okay.
When it comes to writing about that stuff, it's a realistic topic. It's things that people are getting pregnant every day.
That's true. I think our connection is cutting in and out intermittently.
They're
which
afraid
is weird,
to go, so they go those routes.
Okay. So they take those other routes to try to terminate the baby, I guess.
Yeah, and when you're talking about something like that, it's I don't talk about it from a place of experience. I've not gone through that, but you try to handle it in a respectful manner for women who may have gone through it. I don't really write it with any judgment in the story. This is from the point of view of a 10-year-old girl,
right,
who doesn't understand it, So I don't judge anybody in that case, and you just kind of. I don't want to say I handle it with kid gloves because I'm not afraid to talk about it, but I don't just exploit it either. It's not for shock value.
And I'm glad that you're not afraid to go into that. And that speaks volumes of your character right there. You should be able to go into that and talk about it just fine. And I think the story opens up. Am I coming through okay? Did it cut out?
Yeah, you're cutting out intermittent too. Yeah.
I know.
We're working with it.
I'm noticing something here on my OBS. It's kind of acting a little strange. That's weird. My internet here is just fine. But
and I'm on a landline, so I'm not sure what's happening.
But anyway, yeah, the way the story opens was like, have you ever had an abortion? Have you ever thought about it? It was crazy the way the girl talked about it, and she was going to be a victim of it. Could you imagine being a child and knowing that your mom at one time thought about aborting you? That'd be. How do you reconcile that?
And that's Bailey's story. Is she's got a mother that never wanted her, and that's without any spoilers, that's her story. And if you go through it, you see how she reconciles it or doesn't reconcile. And she.
Okay, cut out intermittently right there. That's
like you're saying. No child can really truly process that.
Okay, yeah, it's very difficult to process. Man.
Yeah.
Man, if I found out that, I'd be like, what? I mean, I was so close to not even existing. Like, everything I've been through could have just been, like, nothing. That's
right.
Scary, Life could just be terminated that quickly, ended that quickly. And it... Okay, let me ask you. I know so how do you feel about abortion?
I fall with pro-choice. I don't believe that women should use it as a form of birth control.
Okay.
I do believe in some cases, a woman should have the right to make that choice. If a child is, and stop me if I cut out.
It's fine.
But if a child is a product of rape, if a child.
Okay, cut out right there. I don't know what's going on tonight. I really don't know what's going on. It's like intermittent. It's
If
intermittent. It's
there's
okay.
a lot of women out there that.
You're good. You're good.
Oh, am I still with you?
Yeah. You're still
Okay.
here.
But no, it's if women are trying to use that option just as birth control as opposed to a lack of resources, or I'd much rather a woman abort a child that she got pregnant with early on rather than have that baby and leave it in a dumpster at McDonald's.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, I don't think it should just be used freely whenever you want, but I do think that some women, we need to have that choice.
Okay, and I go with that too. Like, I'm okay with choice. I don't want the government to say what we can and can't do with our body,
Right.
I even go as far as with drugs and all that too. I guess I'm kind of libertarian in that way. Like, the government can get out of what I can do with my body, but at the same time, it feels weird to me with my moral compass. Just the idea of just zapping life so quickly like that. And I know people be like, "Oh, but it's not a baby yet," but it's a fetus. I mean, it's the beginning of life. Like, you can't deny that. That's being silly. It's just. It depends on people.
We're not, we can get into the scientifics of the matter and stuff. That's why it's so highly debated. And I don't judge anybody necessarily for their beliefs on it. I've got mine, and
right.
And that's kind of what makes the world spin, I guess.
Right, and that's fair to to respect different beliefs and all that, and that's good. That's good. Now okay. Now, on this story, I know you don't want to give it away, but there's something that the Bailey experiences, and it kind of changes her, right?
Mhm. Yes. I'm gonna assume that you're talking about Barkley.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. We cut out real fast. Okay.
You are talking about Barkley.
Yeah, I am talking about Barkley.
Okay. Yes, that happens, and that definitely changes her and her outlook on things. But even prior to Barkley, I think you see with the situation with Leo that Bailey was not. She wasn't quite all there to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Now, writing about this story, did you receive any sort of feedback or any sort of reaction from it?
When I initially wrote Bailey, she was a 1,000-word story, and I gave it to my husband, and he read it, and he said, "You can't publish this."
Why?
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I mean, he reads Stephen King. He doesn't read a lot of the more darker or whatever, but he said, people are not going to want to read.
People aren't going to want to read that?
Things and react in this way. And he felt like I may have gone a little too far with what was going on there. And I thought hard and long about it, and it was kind of like, no, I think I'm just going to run with it, and people don't like it. People don't like it because, Barkley, that's an element that I have heard back. People did not like that particular scene.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's other scenes in the book that people don't like. But then I also had somebody read Bailey in a critique group, and she said, "Where's the horror?" And I said, well, I felt like there was quite a bit in that story with the child and the things going on. So it's, everybody's got their own definition of horror.
Well, yeah, that's true, too. I could see it. I mean,
so.
I could see where some people could see it more like as a literary piece. It's more like a drama, I guess. But then, but like I said, morally, I do have some hang-ups on abortion in some areas where, like, if my wife was just like, "I want to abort this baby," it was like, "Honey, like, what are you talking about? That's crazy." Like we could raise it.
Yeah.
We would have a talk. But I could see where it could be horror. And let's talk about, just hint it a little bit. I'll let you do it so you don't give too much away. What is the horror of Berkeley?
Bailey?
Sorry, Bailey. I'm sorry.
I think the fact that this is a 10-year-old child who has absolutely no qualms with hurting other people.
Yeah.
She doesn't mind killing other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a spoiler because it was released online, but there's a scene with a little boy in the playground, and, he's a little dickhead, and she pushes him, and
And push him and goes a little too far, huh?
he just eats it up. She can't get enough. She's just, oh my gosh, I love this, and it snaps inside of her, and in my opinion, if I was around a 10-year-old child that wouldn't blink twice at throwing me down a flight of stairs, that's horror. That's something that would make me uncomfortable, which to me is the definition of horror.
Right, and that's also a common trope in horror, like kids that go too far. They're a little bit violent, a little bit psychopathic even. That's something that happens.
Absolutely.
All right, we got some people in the chat. Hey, feel free to ask questions. I know it's kind of cutting in and out intermittently. I don't know why that's going on. Lisa Vasquez, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, shout out to the publisher for of Patchwork. Do you want
yes,
to do a shout out?
Smile Publications.
Right. Pretty good people there. Pretty good people.
Yep, they did a great job. I absolutely adore Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa's a good person. I like her too. Okay, let's talk about. Well, before we go into the other stories, why write? Like, out of all the hobbies, out of all the things you could do, why write?
I don't know. Nobody's ever asked me that question. I don't know. I was 6 years old and had an assignment and wrote a short story that was scary, and ever since then, I write anything that I can write. I mean, I don't know why. I was born to do it, I think. Hmm. It's just me. It's just who I am, and I never made a conscious decision to write. I just wrote. Did it.
Just wrote. Okay. So you're like compelled. You just felt it inside you. You just have to let it out. I mean, what happens if you don't write? Do you feel anxiety or anything?
I get very frustrated when I have dry spells, when I bum around and play video games instead.
Okay. Got to cut out just a little bit right there. But
and I start trying to force whatever I can,
Okay. And let me ask that to the chat and those listening afterwards on the podcast feed. Feel free to comment. Like, if you are a writer and if you don't write for a while, maybe a day, maybe a week, how does that feel to you? Like what happens? Do you start feeling frustrated? Do you get anxious? Like, how do you release that? Please let me know. Okay. Now, out of all things, why horror? I mean, is it the cliche thing, like maybe something happened in your childhood, or is it just you have a passion for horror?
Honestly, my dad introduced me to horror. I think I was 7, and he showed me a little clip from Faces of Death. Do you know that little gem?
Faces of Death. That was real stuff.
Well, that's debatable. Like, there's there's the whole controversy, but yes, I mean he showed.
I mean, some of that stuff was fake, but some of it was real.
I turned around and ran back, and I went back into the living room after I calmed down, and I said I wanted to watch some more. At that point, my mother had shut him down. But I just, he introduced me to that stuff, and I guess it was just him that just kind of rubbed off on me.
Okay. Now, a shout out for those listening to right now. Okay, if you want to, I know things are tight. I know jobs are tight. I know money might be tight. But if you feel compelled to donate, you feel generous, I will take a shot right now for a $5 donation. Or if we can get like 10 likes on this stream. Can we do that? One or the other. Either way. I have Woodford Reserve over here. It's waiting on me. Let's make that happen. Anyway, so your father introduced you to Faces of Death, and that got you into horror. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. That's my first memorable, horror experience was sitting.
Okay. So you didn't have to see a therapist or anything afterwards?
Yeah.
Because I would have to see a
I'm
therapist.
sorry?
I said, did he have to see a therapist or anything afterwards?
Oh, no.
No? Okay.
No. No, I just, like I said, I screamed and I ran out of the room and then I went back in there and asked for more. So.
Asked for more. Wow. I mean, my introduction to horror is just pretty much Halloween, and that was it. Wow.
Oh, yeah, there was that. I mean, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I don't think about that when somebody asks me how horror, but it was, yeah. I mean, there was Halloween and stuff, sure.
I could see why. I mean, you got Face of Death. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, do you live like the gothic lifestyle? Are you all like all black? Any color, as long as it's black?
No, you'd have no idea if you saw me out. I'm a jeans and T-shirts kind of girl,
Okay.
but no, I'm not. I've had pink hair, and I wear bright colors sometimes.
Okay. So like the bright horror. Okay, that's nice.
Look at me like I'm crazy, because you would never.
Okay. Now we have a question in the chat here from Lisa Vasquez.
I'm kind of.
Can you tell everyone what was the biggest struggle about writing about the concept of Bailey?
Oh, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I didn't struggle with Bailey.
You did not struggle. Okay.
No, she wrote herself. I sat down one afternoon, the first 1,000 words came out, and I didn't plot Bailey. I didn't think about what she was going to do. She literally wrote herself.
Mm.
So I wish that I could sit here and tell you I struggled like so many writers with it. But I have to be honest and tell you I really didn't. She wrote herself.
Well, honesty is the best policy. Okay. Well, if you didn't, it just came out. Well, that's your muse working overtime there, I guess. I mean,
something good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, it's okay. I was just saying that's your muse working overtime. I mean, was it one of those things where like you're writing and you can't stop? You're like in the moment.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that when I'm writing something that's working, I don't feel like there's a connection between my brain and my fingers. Like I just put my hands on the keyboard and they write a story. I don't think about it. She surprises me. She does things and I'm like, oh, go Bailey. It just happens. And with Bailey, it just happened.
Okay.
I didn't have to think about it at all.
All right. So were there any parts with other characters, maybe later on in the story, that gave you any sort of trouble?
The father was kind of Lenny. He was kind of up and down for me.
Why is that? Kind of cut out a little bit. Sorry?
Done with him, and because he was kind of Bailey's ally, but he was also kind of a jerk, and I kind of struggled handling him.
Yeah, I could see that. I haven't read that story. I could see what you're talking about. He was on his side, but it was kind of interesting, his character.
Yeah, he's a flawed man for sure.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's very interesting about stories in general, not just horror, but flawed characters. Do you find writing flawed characters to be of a challenge?
Yes and no. A lot of no, because I'm a flawed person. So it's easy for me to look at my flaws and kind of exploit my flaws on paper. So that makes it a little harder when I know what those characters.
Well, I think we dropped real fast due to intermittent internet. Sorry.
If I'm writing a flaw that's typically. Oh.
No, you're good.
That's okay. That's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say.
Oh.
You're right on that. Like you saying you're a little bit flawed. In a way, we are all flawed. If we're all going to be honest with ourselves, even the chat and those listening to afterwards on the podcast feed, we're all human. We're all flawed in some ways. I kind of think, I don't know about you, but I kind of think that's sort of the draw of a flawed character. Even someone like, let's say, Tony Soprano for Sopranos. He's not a good character, but people watched because they're curious about what's going to happen to him. because there's that moment of humanity where you're like, okay, he can be good here, but now he's gonna fuck it up and be bad in other places. You know, it's like
it's that dichotomy of this guy's really good, but he's got this problem, and why do I like this character? Because he's so fucked up, excuse the language, but
it's okay. We're not a family-friendly show here.
For a flawed character or a villain. Okay, but I'm pulling for the villain, and I have to sit back and go, wait, what's wrong with me that I'm sitting here? This flawed character is like the best character I've ever read, so we relate to flawed characters more than I think we want to admit sometimes.
Right? Because I think the characters that are too good come off as cheesy and fake and like too pretentious.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a comic book person, but that's my problem. Like, let's say like Superman. It's like, what's your flaw, man? What's your flaw?
Yeah.
You're too perfect.
I'm
more like a
the
Batman.
good old American perfect guy that really doesn't exist.
Right? Oh, he's an alien. Nothing can stop him except for the one thing from his rock, from his planet. I'm more like a Batman guy. I'm with the flawed character who has to reconcile with the ethics of what he's doing. He might even be a little insane.
Right.
You know, I like that.
Those are the ones you're drawn to.
Right.
The cookie cutter perfects, the ones with their lives together, with their shit together, and that know who they are. But that's boring. I don't. I mean, I'm not judging any other author, so nobody out there get
I'm judging.
pissy.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
They're boring. When I'm reading about a character, I mean, who wants to read a book about, I woke up and I walked an old lady across the street today, and I'm such a wonderful person, and I went to bed and I did it all again the next day.
Sounds like
That's
a
boring.
Joel Osteen book. I read that before. Joel Osteen, where he literally prayed to have a parking spot and it happened. He was like, see, God exists. It's like, come on.
Yeah. And that's boring, that's I don't want to read the heart. I don't want to read the, everything worked out okay and ta-da. It's like, no, I need the grit. I need the dirt.
Grit. I like that. Okay. Now, before we move on to the other stories in your book here, let's get into the deep, real fast, controversial topics. What are some of the most controversial topics you've ever written about?
That I've written about, it's what's in this book, for sure.
Okay.
The child neglect, the child sexual abuse, those two in particular. I also have a story in the works it's not out there, but it deals with suicide.
Ooh, okay.
And these are all things that, unfortunately, other than child neglect, I was not neglected as a child. But, my father committed suicide. And I have experience like Cricket does in my book, and I draw on that stuff, and people call those controversial, and I call them my life. Those are things that I went through. So they're not so controversial to me, but I could see where others think so.
Okay. But those are some pretty heavy themes. So those are some themes that people, they get into. It might just ruin their day or whatever. Some themes that people have a difficulty even talking about with others, especially on social media, which is like the last place to have any sort of debate about really anything of nuance. But, right. So like in your book, you have abortion, you have like child abuse or child neglect, sexual abuse. How did you handle the sexual abuse? How do you write about that in a I guess a respectful way?
So Cricket, you and I discussed privately. Cricket was loosely based on some experiences that I had as a child, and I have said from the very beginning that I'm not afraid to write about certain topics, and I'm not afraid to go there, but I'm not trying to exploit. Right. I'm not trying to shock you just because. I'm not trying to go to places that people. I have a very short descriptive scene in there that's not even that descriptive.
Okay, short description.
Back, because. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so it's a very short scene, very shortly described, So it's not
Yes.
grotesque. It's not. It's nothing that some pedo is going to get off to or anything like that. Hopefully
No, that's one of the concerns was I'm not trying to write, softer hardcore porn or
Right.
something like you're saying a pedophile is going to pick up and read in prison and enjoy, and I'm not trying to write a step-by-step guide on none of those things. I definitely held back in that sense. Something had to be there, but it did not need to be a 1, 2, 3 guide on what happened to this child.
Okay. Yeah, writing about that must have been a challenge.
It was. It was very therapeutic. When I wrote the story, it was last year. I was actually going through the court battle.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
The story actually happened. Yeah, I was in an airport. I was scrolling through my Facebook. Boom, there he was on the screen. And I wrote that story in the midst of all the court, in the midst of filing a report and charges and testifying and back and forth. And so for me, it was very therapeutic. It was difficult, but it was just, I completely controlled that story and controlled the ending to that story. While last year I was up in arms over what was going to happen in court, we didn't have any answers, I got to write a story where I kind of controlled that. And so it was very therapeutic.
Wow. That is pretty powerful. I like that. We got a question from the chat here from Mike Lane. Does writing these heavy themes you've actually lived provide any kind of healing for you? Or do you think it will for others?
It does absolutely provide healing for me, but
I think we cut out just a bit.
No.
Once again, guys, I apologize real fast. I'm sorry, just go ahead and repeat that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Before I was public with everything that had happened, before he got caught, before all those things, I used to read stories like this, and I would feel like I won for a few minutes. If I read a story another woman wrote or another man wrote about a child molester who got his due or whatever, I felt good. So my hope writing the story was other women who maybe haven't had their justice will be able to read it and kind of win for a few minutes. There, in the end, they'll kind of find a little bit of healing, even if it's fleeting. It's a positive for just a minute, a way for them to imagine how things could have went for them the way that I used to.
See, that's what I like about stories with those heavy themes, especially if there's an ending where there is a win, that the person got his due. That's good. The ones I don't like are the ones where the person gets off and it's like, what? How did they get off? Or where like nothing happens in the end, and it's like anything could have happened. Come on.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Now, what is murder ASMR? Is that like I know what ASMR is. Isn't that the
right?
Hi, I'm here. Is it like a?
That's the one. Yeah, people like different versions of ASMR. That whispers, tapping. I listen to ASMR to go to sleep. I like crinkly plastic. I know that's weird, but I like that sound. It puts me to
Smokers were
sleep.
like.
Yeah, exactly. Former smoker, so I get it. That was nice. But murder ASMR. This guy in this story he's somebody chasing.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to repeat that from chasing. I'm sorry.
Boring. Oh no, he's been chasing a relief for his anxiety. Is what I was trying to say, and. The typical ASMR is boring. It's not working anymore, and he gets angry at his wife one night, and the response from her triggers something in him, and it goes downhill from there for her. He enjoys the sounds of pain. He enjoys the sounds of
pain. So he's into like
oh yeah,
like slapping, like that sort of thing.
Slapping. Like if I took your hand right now and bent all your fingers backwards, and they popped and cracked, and that sound of that gristle in your knuckles and that bubble and those little sounds are what triggers the anxiety reducing receptors in his brain.
You know what? I could right now imagine. I could imagine some ASMR person doing that. I could imagine them doing that, like emulating the sounds. If they knew that there was a crowd that liked that, I could imagine them doing that. That's what's scary.
I am sure that there is a crowd that likes it, and I am sure they are floating around the dark web.
Yep. And
I'm sure that exists somewhere. I would not be surprised. I mean, I say I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure too.
Research or go into that.
Hey,
but
you're talking to the right person. I hang out on the internet forums. I know all about the dirt. I know all about I know what the ugly web looks like. I've been there, and I'm back, and I'm still human. It won't consume me. I won't let it. I'm just there for educational purposes. I just want to know what the darkness looks like. I want to stare into the void and be like, "No, void, you're not going to control me." It's like, I don't know. That sounds crazy, but murder ASMR. That sounds hardcore. That sounds crazy. Any sort of response to that story?
I didn't mean to talk over you. You cut out, so I started talking.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say...
You there?
I'm still here. Murder ASMR sounds pretty hardcore. Any sort of response or feedback to that story?
People are grossed out. They don't like the idea that someone they love could break their bones and enjoy listening to it. And, a lot of people don't buy into the ASMR science, period. So you got that working against you, and then the people who don't like the body horror with the breaking of the bones.
Oh, I know a lot of people who love body horror. I guess I'm just hanging out with the wrong friends. I don't know. But, what is the science behind ASMR? Actually, you know what? What does ASMR even mean? We didn't even talk about that.
Well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not fixing to get into the science part of it. So, you know, listeners can look it up. But basically, kind of broken down in...
Once again, intermittent problems. I don't know why.
Auditory.
Sorry, auditory what?
Like an auditory response, like a visceral response to a sound.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you've ever turned a page in a glossy magazine, and some people really like that sound, so they play with the pages in their fingers, and it's because it's soothing. It kind of creates a reaction in your body and your brain. So that's different sounds work for different people.
Gotcha. You know what I like? I like the sound of liquid being poured into a glass. I like this. And I also like the sound of a cork being on the cork. You know?
It's gotten so popular that if the next time you go to a movie theater, if you still do that, I know a lot of people don't. The showbiz cinemas, anyway, have a whole screen before a movie where they open a bottle of soda, they drop ice in a glass, they pour it, and it does all those sounds, and then all the popcorn pops around it. That's actually an ASMR ad.
It is, and it's very effective, because after that, I'm like, God damn, I want a Coke. But then I'm like, man, I really don't like the after... I'll take it anyway. I'll go get a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. But a lot of people, like I said, if I'm having a particular night where I'm struggling, I'll put in earbuds and put on an ASMR YouTube video, and it's going to put me to sleep. So, I don't know. Maybe it's weird, but I'm not normal, so.
I don't think it's weird. Out of all things I've seen on the internet, and I've seen a lot of stuff, ASMR is not the weirdest thing. In fact, it's quite normal.
I have to agree.
Maybe getting off to, it's not really a getting off thing, but I guess becoming relaxed, getting that sort of dopamine release from the sound of bones breaking. You might be homicidal.
That might be a little out there.
Yeah. Yeah. You might be a bouncer at a club, might be a cop, might be a... I don't know. You might have something in you that's into into the grit, into some stuff. But hey, you know what? If you're getting it simulated, I don't mind. You know, if it's all simulated, fine, I suppose, as long as no victims and all that, I guess. But it's like,
right. Yeah, I promise I don't have anybody tied up in my basement or anything. I'm not, you know.
You don't?
Well,
Get with the program. I got 2 tied up in my garage right now. No, I'm just joking.
Well, if you'll start recording and sending me the tapes, I'll work out a deal with you.
Shit, my attorney's telling me I should have been quiet about that. Too late. Too late.
Too late now.
Right? Okay. But yeah, Murder ASMR sounds fucking hardcore. I'm sure you got all sorts of good feedback. Now, Patchwork in general, how long has this book been out?
It came out Friday the 13th in March. Friday, March 13th.
Nice. And what has the response been like?
So far, knock on wood, I have had all positive responses. I didn't set out to write an extreme horror book or something that was quite as bothersome is the wrong word. I was surprised that all the reviewers considered it to be extreme or considered it to be very, very dark. And when I first wrote it, I thought it was just a horror book. I mean, Stephen King killed a child with a semi-truck, you know,
Yeah.
and it wasn't extreme. But all the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. I've
That's
not
good.
heard,
That's good.
you know, anything negative yet. Of course, I'm still in a very small circle. So hopefully as the circle gets bigger, we'll get a little more, you know, sampled review. But
I'm sure you will. Hey, hell, I would love. When I'm done reading it all, I will definitely give a review. I don't know if I'll be able to do it on Amazon. Amazon's a little weird, but I'll definitely do a review on an individual video or whatever. And
I appreciate it. Even if you don't like it, you know, I'm one of those people that believes I need to learn. And if somebody doesn't like it, that's fine, but tell me why.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty fair.
You know,
I'm usually pretty fair. You know, and I'll be honest. Like, if there's something that I don't, you know, have a problem with, I'll let you know. But so far, what I've read, I enjoyed. So I think it's going to be a positive one. You know, some people might be like, "Oh, you had her on the show. You know, you talked to her. All this. Of course, it'd be positive." I'm like, you know, you could eat shit. You know,
we're not friends, so
yeah.
I don't expect anything from you.
Wait, we're not friends. Wait a second.
Well,
Mike Lane. Wait, are you sure? Are you sure you don't have someone tied up in your basement right now? Because I'm getting a message right now that someone's tied up in your basement.
you are, and it's Mike Lane. Is that what I'm hearing?
I can't reveal the reporter. They're confidential. It's supposed to be.
He's not going to be there in about 10 minutes.
Oh shit! You better duck for cover, Mike Lane. Run to the corner, to another corner. Okay, now, what is your favorite horror movie?
He is my.
I'm sorry. Oh, we just cut in and out. I don't know why that's happening tonight. I don't. Anyway, what is your favorite horror movie?
It depends on the mood I'm in. I sometimes am into the gore fest, torture porn, Saw type stuff. There's a movie it's so underrated, and it's called Landmine Goes Click. Have you seen that?
Landmine Goes Click. I have not seen that. I have not. Right now, guys, we're looking at 3 likes on this YouTube live stream. Let's try to get it past 5, and I'll take this shot. Okay? It's still at 3. Let's get it past 5. Come on, there's like 8 people watching, I think, right now. There should be more. But, come on, I think we could do this. I remember I said either $5 for the shot or 10 likes. Now I brought it down to like past 5. I think we could do that.
Hey, the drunker he gets...
The drunker I gets, and she cuts off. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Do it.
Yes. Anyway. All right. So, I'm sorry. Your favorite horror movie? I do apologize.
Landmine Goes Click.
That's right.
What we were talking about. It's a very underrated revenge film. It's an excellent movie. It's the entire movie is spent with a guy with his foot on a landmine. And I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to spoil it. But Excellent movie. Check it out.
Oh, shit. I gotta check this one out.
Yeah,
Landmine goes
it's
quick.
very underrated. Nobody talks about it. Nobody's seen it, but it's pretty good.
Is it like an indie horror movie? How old is it? Is it
I
new?
think so. It was never in the movies or anything like that. So I think it was probably just kind of an independent straight to DVD kind of thing. I found it on Netflix several years ago.
Okay. So he steps on a landmine, and the rest of the movie is kind of like him trying to navigate how to get his foot off the landmine without it blowing up?
Kind of. There's two other people involved that are there with him, and he's basically a poor decision is made at the beginning of the film, and the guy comes back for revenge, and he's got this kid stuck on this landmine, and he takes his revenge out on this kid's girlfriend. And it's dark and it's good, and I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to ruin it, but you should definitely check it out. It's worth the time.
Yeah, that definitely had a lot more components than I was thinking of with that title.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
it's really good.
is there a particular horror movie that really inspired your writing?
Well, it definitely wasn't Faces of Death. I mean, I guess not. I mean, I like...
I'm sorry?
Because I want to try to do something new, you know, and that's hard to do, but, no, I guess not. I guess I can't think of any particular one that did.
Well, that's okay. Are there any particular books, horror books, that inspired your writing?
I obviously like Stephen King.
Yeah, he's a go-to.
Yeah, but I like his son Joe Hill better.
Ah, okay. I asked
do?
that question not too long ago on the Deadman's Tome page on Facebook. Who is better? Okay.
I voted in that poll.
You did. You know what? I didn't even follow up on that. That's how bad I am. I should, because a lot of those polls get a lot of traction. And if I was smart, I would look at those polls and be like, that's an episode idea. But, okay. Why?
I feel...
Oh, we just cut out right now when you were about to get into it.
Well,
Okay. So why? Why is Joe...
I hope that the... I was just going to say, I hope that the Stephen King fans don't get mad, because I own every book Stephen King has ever written, in at least 2 copies, so I love him.
They shouldn't get mad. They'll be getting mad at his son. It's going to happen. Look, it's been prophesized. There comes a time where the son... in every... like, isn't that something in, like, in mythology where the son is eventually going to take over the father? I mean, isn't that something? Okay. Eventually, one day, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
In some way. Come on, I'm being respectful when I say that too, Stephen King fans. Okay. Why is Joe Hill better?
I think that Joe uses less words to get to where he's trying to go. Stephen King tends to...
I think he's hacking the show. Someone's hacking the show. That's why we're cutting in and out.
But he uses a lot of words. I don't know what it is about Joe. And Joe can get wordy too, but he's a little bit more concise for me. And I mean, if I have to pin it down, he's just fresher to me. I just, for whatever reason, enjoy his style better, enjoy his descriptives better, just all around. I think he's doing a little... I don't want to say he's better than his dad because they're different writers, but I enjoy him a little more than his dad lately, for sure.
There's something that Joe Hill... Okay, I don't know. I don't have the words for it necessarily, but... All right, Stephen King's work, every night, he'll definitely play around with the paranormal and, like, people that kind of have powers. He doesn't really play into it too much, like The Shining, all that stuff. But in Firestarter, I think Joe Hill takes that and goes the extra mile. Like, no, these people have powers, and they know they have powers, and other people know that they have powers, and it becomes like this big thing, almost like kind of like an X-Men sort of thing, but in horror. I think I like how he goes even further with that. It's like you take what's good with King, and he just takes it in a more modern, because I mean he's younger, he's more, he's gonna be more in tune with what's with the generation around. You kind of want what they're I guess groomed by, and he's gonna push it with using that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Word salad, but yeah, thanks.
No, I was just listening to you, but it does make sense. And and then I see times I'm reading his books. I read The Fireman. I don't know if you've read that, but it's almost a parallel to The Stand. Mm-hmm. All the way down to
It is like The Stand with a little bit of Firestarter with I mean you got people bursting in flame.
Yeah, but the parallels are. Sorry, the cutting out kept throwing me off. Like Mother Abigail in The Stand.
By King. I think he's hacking us.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is happening. But Mother Abigail is kind of the guide in the Stand, and then in The Fireman, you've got the MTV VJ. Did you read the book? You know what I'm talking about, the girl.
Part of it. I haven't read it all.
Well, anyway, it's almost a carbon copy, just with different characters and a different virus. But I still feel like Joe's is just slightly better, and I don't know what that quality is. It's like you said, I don't have the words, but there's just something better about it. I don't know.
I will say that Joe Hill has definitely tapped into other mediums to kind of show his writing, his storytelling, like with the graphic novels, for instance. Like, have you seen the comic Lock and Key?
I have seen it. I have a couple of issues of it. That's the only thing of his that I don't own signed and don't own multiple copies of is Lock and Key. I'm behind on that. I got wind of that from a comic guy. A guy who runs a channel on YouTube called Gospel of Comics. All he does is talk about comics. Just talk about comics. And he had us on the show because he's talking about a horror comic. He talked about Lock and Key. And we were on it talking about it. And I was like impressed. I was like, man, this is a great combination. You have, what was it? Gabriel Rodriguez, is that right? Yes.
Okay. And then Joe Hill. Great combination. The art was beautiful. The storytelling was great. There's a part, I even said it on the show, I was like, I feel like it's kind of a little rushed because I don't really know what's going on here. But it's good. Overall, I definitely like the graphic novel much more than the Netflix adaptation. The Netflix adaptation was like, you guys missed some things, but okay.
Yeah, I haven't watched it because I don't like to watch until I read. I'm one of those people that I read first, I watch later. But it's so, to me, it's just so disappointing. Nosferatu is my all-time favorite book by Joe Hill. All-time favorite. I read it once a year. And the show is, it's such a shame the way they tend to kind of ruin these things. I don't know what the curse is with Stephen King and Joe Hill that their books are. I don't know what people are thinking. I don't want to get too ugly, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, and they had a series of they turned Nosferatu into a TV series, right?
Yes. Yes, they did. They didn't completely follow the book, but I mean I'll never understand why a book that's a bestseller and so popular, they feel like they need to change it for a television show. Because if it was such a bestseller as it was written, why wouldn't it be just as good on television as it was written?
Right? There's someone there, some sort of producer that's like, we got to change it this way because we know better.
Exactly.
Do they, though? Do they?
I don't think so, but that's just me.
I don't think so either. They make all sorts of changes, and some are just like, what? What's going on?
Things like names. I've never understood why we have to change a name.
Right?
In a television show or movie. What importance is the name? Why do we have to change that?
I hate it when they change a name or they totally get rid of a character. they delete a character, and so one character is playing the part of two characters. It's like, why are you doing that, man?
Right. Or they just add an arbitrary one like they did with 11/22/63. They had to add that character because Jake needed somebody to be with him, I guess, to play off of. So they just added a new character in. It's like, okay, well, the whole point was he was doing it by himself, but okay. You know, but
and he could do it by himself. I mean, he could be talking to himself. He could be doing that. I mean, they did that in Die Hard. Die Hard is a great action movie. It is like a legendary action movie. You can't take that away from it, even if you don't care for it. I don't know anyone who does. Wait, do you like Die Hard?
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Die Hard? Oh, best Christmas movie of all time. Best Christmas movie of all time. Anyway,
I need to. Yeah.
But most of the dialogue was him to himself. He was talking to himself because he was the only one there. And it made sense. Most people, I guess they think if a character's talking to himself, it looks like they're crazy. But they're not crazy. It's just their internal dialogue going out. And if I was in that high intense situation, I would be damn talking to myself. Be like,
oh yeah,
hell, man, what the fuck is going on? You know, I think people relate to that.
I agree.
Man. Okay, so we talk about horror movies, horror books. You got anything else in the chamber? Something that you're working on now?
A secret little project, yes.
A secret little project.
Yes, I can't tell you too much, but I may have another short story collection coming. It may or may not be a collaboration with somebody. I don't know. That's about all I can tell you. But something good is coming down the pipe.
Okay.
Something good is coming, I promise.
Something good is
not
coming.
Not time to give you very much information.
Okay.
Yet.
Something good is coming. I like hearing about good things. I know the audience loves hearing about good things. Can you... what is it about? What teasers?
It's some short stories that a friend of mine and I may be collaborating on a little collection.
Okay.
But it's not, it's in the very early stages. Ideas are still kind of being kicked around, but that would be pretty cool. And then Bailey's story is not done.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of that going on behind the scenes. So that's all I'm willing to say, though. Otherwise, I got to kill you.
Oh, well, I mean, you could try, but I'm already a dead man, so good luck on that.
Yes, touche. Very well done.
Yeah. Hey,
well done.
You did pretty well, though. I usually like to pry in a very nice way. People like to tease.
Yeah.
People
You're
like
not
to tease.
bothering me.
Everyone likes
You're not
to
that
tease.
scary.
It's not about... I don't pry with fear. I pry with niceness. I pry with honey. You know?
Yes. Honey and Jameson?
Honey and Jameson. Actually, Woodford is mine. Jameson's was the neighbor. that was
I'm
earlier
sorry.
today.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That's
the
fine.
Woodford Reserve. That's right.
Let me tell you, that's what I do on the weekends. I have kids. My neighbors have kids. I lucked out getting this house. We all have kids around this block. We all hang out. They all play together. The kids are outside, run the bikes. I kid you not. It was like a block party. We had it all blocked off pretty much. The cars, we're screening for the kids. The cars come. Everyone get to a safe space. But that's what it's like. And you have beers, maybe some whiskey, and it's been like that. And I enjoy that. The kids enjoy that. And the reason I'm talking about that here on this podcast here is be like spending time outside like that with your neighbors, especially neighbors that's good.
I live in the woods, so I have a couple of neighbors that I don't really know, and that's
well.
I'm just
if you live in the woods, yeah, they might be a little questionable. But if you live in the suburbs, that's a little different,
Yeah, but I can still enjoy my drink and it was pizza night at our house, and Jose Cuervo got me through this interview. So
I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, all right, Desiree, it's great having you. It's great having you on the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you made it this far, press the like button, share, and subscribe. It means a lot, though. This channel's kind of, in a way, it's dead to me because it's essentially demonetized. Like, I kid you not, it was demonetized because the content on this channel was deemed sexually gratifying. I don't know. I don't understand that. But
okay,
that is what it is. Maybe it's my voice. Maybe it's the Deadman's Tome mascot. I don't know. Maybe an Asian chick is too sexy. I don't know. I can't tell you. But press the like button, share, subscribe, and check out the podcast feed because that's what really helps. Y'all